we're gonna talk about a movie that feels like you're being beaten to death by boredom. The movie is called Beaten to Death. Um, and I assume that when they made it, they would have liked us not to be bored. They would have liked me to not be bored. This movie was recommended to me, um, and it was presented to me a la like Wolf Creek or um, High Tensions. These are torture porn movies with heavy emphasis on like gore and extremist shock value, and they're all very simplistic stories. But all these movies have something that this doesn't. And even though it's that all of these are, and even though what it shares is that all these films have simple premises, this movie's premise is so lacking that it makes the other ones feel so complex just on surface level, just on the surface. Hostel's hook is that, you have ignorant American tourists who visit a foreign country and do things they shouldn't, that get them trapped in a torture, sort of a ring of tortured victims and in human trafficking, and that, that's a very real concept, and that movie works to those that enjoy that kind of film work. And I do. I love me some dark torture porn. I like me some brutal fucking violent films like High Tension. But this movie has nothing. The simple premise is this: you have a couple who go to the country and they're searching for meth. Now, it's not really established whether they're searching for meth because they want to do meth or they're searching for it because they want to sell it. Granted, this is probably one of the scenes that I skipped because the whole time I was watching this movie, I had my button on the fast forward. I had my finger on the fast forward button and I skipped 10 seconds bit by bit. This movie is 70%, 60% walking and commiserating with him about how bad the situation he is in is. So this couple go and look for meth in the country. They follow up a dealer. They give him his phone willingly. They give him their phone willingly. They follow him to a trap house in the middle of the country willingly. They get in his car willingly. They go into the dark basement. Well, you see where I'm going with this? Everything is willing until they get to a point where the dealer says, all right, it's 250 G's. And they go, well, we only have 10. So the dealer gets so upset that he accidentally kills the wife and tries to beat the husband to death. Already, my mind is swirling with the fucking conveniences and plot holes that are presented before me. Because if you're a dealer who is dealing and selling, and you go through all of this hard work to take their phones, blindfold them, take them to your location, present the product, you would probably want to find out if they had the money first before you risk, even if you're blindfolding them. But because they don't have the money, he gets mad and beats them up because he can't let them go now, because now they know where he works. It doesn't make sense at all. Like, worst dealer on earth. Also, why would you trust him? There's so many conveniences in this movie that just don't make sense just to get us to this point in the beginning of the movie. The rest of the movie is him running away from the relative brother of this guy. That's the whole movie. That is the whole movie. And the thing is, it's not even told in order. You immediately jump into the moment where he's bleeding on the floor fighting this meth dealer. And every so often, we get a flashback sequence to his relationship with his wife, how they met, with just music in the background and no dialogue. And then the next flashback is not to establish their love, but to establish that they're having a hard time. And so they need to, like, what I assumed was go find a meth dealer to buy product from and then sell. First off, I don't care about your romance. You didn't establish a voice with these characters. You didn't establish a dynamic with these characters. So now I'm supposed to care that they're going through hard times. And these flashbacks are horrible. They just break up the pacing of an already slow movie because, like I said, you have moments of violence, and in between, he's just walking, bleeding, drooling, and crying. There feels like there's no sense of urgency because most of this movie is us watching him commiserate with himself about how horrible it is. And then when you make movies like this, right, the last thing you want to do is break up the film with flashbacks. I hate flashbacks, and I've established this many times. I hate flashbacks. You break up the pacing of a film. If you're going to break up the pacing of a film, make sure your flashback is meaningful, it has context, it is layered, it means something to the audience, that we are stopping this moment of high tension to go back to a moment of low tension to set up something that should have mattered from the beginning of the movie. Flashbacks are a fucking curse. I digress. In between the flashbacks and moments of violence, we're just walking. At some point, and I'm going to spoil this because you really don't need to watch this, just hear me rant. He loses his eyes. The brother catches him, the brother of the man he killed at the beginning, catches him, takes his eyes off, crucifies him against the wall, and waits for him to escape so he can hunt him. It's not as exciting as I'm explaining it, trust me. He takes a rifle, and in moments where he hears shit, you know what he does? He just shoots because he's blind. So he thinks, I'm going to take this rifle and I'm going to shoot at everything that makes a sound. I hate moments like this where we make characters so fucking dumb. And I get that he's blind, but you can't justify a blind character shooting blindly into the woods because he hears things just as an excuse to get rid of bullets. He already can't see. You already have your excuse for why he would miss. So maybe make him a little smarter and have him choose and pick and choose the moments where he uses the gun. When he finally gets caught again, we put him through another moment of shock that is supposed to shock the audience. Like I've seen a lot of horror films. I've seen a lot of gory films. I'm pretty desensitized to these kinds of films, but I watch them in hopes that you can make me feel something new. And this one does nothing unique, even in terms of shock value and violence. They rip his eyes out, but, and they have a cool shot where they show the knife going into the eye. But then after that, it's just him screaming with the hand over the guy's eye and blood coming up. So you're kind of hiding the prosthetics so that you don't have to pay for showing the heavy gore. But aside from the screaming, it wasn't effective. Then you throw him in a hole and you try to bury him. It wasn't effective. It just all you're telling your audience is this guy's going through some shit. That's it. And then in between these moments, there's moments of like brutal stabbing. But this is supposed to be a torture porn film where the violence is already gratuitous, right? It's violence, but it's not pushing the limits. So now you're stuck in a place where the story is ineffective, your character is ineffective, your villains suck. And now what people are here for, which is the extremist Australian violence that Australian movies are popular for, now that's diluted because it's not, at least for me, impactful enough to validate there being super dull moments in between the violence. And then they do this thing at the end. We have a twist. Again, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear, get off, but we have a twist where he gets rescued. At this point, you're blind, you've killed two people, you're paranoid and you're anxious, and you trust the first car that comes your way. Now, this person in this car has a dog. That dog has appeared to our main character in multiple parts in the movie and then just kind of leaves. Just kind of like this guiding spirit, guiding the blind. The dog shows up, he pets him, walks with him, disappears. And this happens 3 times. At the end of the movie, the owner of this dog shows up. And he notices because he's feeling the dog, right? He can't see, but he can feel the dog, and he knows, oh, this is the dog, so maybe the owner's here. Your entire film, you've been running for your life. You're not going to question how this dog is always able to find you, and maybe the owner has been watching you. No, you just willingly get in this man's car, and then they try to play it off like this isn't what happened until the very last second to give you a huge twist, but basically what happens is he passes out and he wakes up at a hospital. Nurses around him, they try to wake him up. And then we flash back, because we fucking love flashing back, what is actually present time, to him getting stabbed by the man who's rescuing him. And it turns out that what he's seeing is just him imagining a better outcome. and then he dies and the movie cuts to black. This is the most brain dead fucking movie I've seen in a very long time that has nothing going on. Not to mention the color grading is fucking rough to look at because it's so gray, so blue, and so brown that whenever we get close ups of his face, the blood looks black. Everything else outside looks yellow or muddy. There's no colors whatsoever. Like it's not even slightly saturated. Like it's a rough movie to look at. It's not a pretty movie to look at. And I get that it's supposed to look grungy, but there are better movies that have done this. Like Saw 1 looks like a very grungy movie, yet somehow they know how to use moments of red whenever whenever Pigface shows up, because the hoodie has like red lining on the inside, so you have moments of color, and it's used properly to enhance a sequence. Even Hills Have Eyes, or Rob Zombie's Halloween, or like, Hostel. Like, these movies look grungy, but color is still necessary. If you're just painting and dousing and drowning and waterboarding your fucking movie in colors in shades of gray and black, on top of a movie that is just dour and kind of depressing, where your character's just screaming and moaning and crying and drooling, you really paint the movie as pure just boredom. And that's what I was feeling this entire time, was I don't care about this character. I shouldn't have to care during a flashback that he's going through shit. There should be something, you're giving me some kind of stakes at the beginning of the movie that makes me care. And just his wife dying wasn't enough, because in the flashback that we have, they meet at a bar and she's singing. She's an artist that's singing, and all you hear is her singing, and then over her singing, right, as she's singing, we have moments of them talking, but there's no dialogue. And then the next thing you know, they're having issues. That's your only introduction to these characters, is that they're dealing through something that you don't get enough time to build up to, so you don't give a fuck, you don't care. And on top of that, the next thing you know, they just want to go buy meth to solve financial issues. Fuck. Make that relatable. Tell me that they're losing their house. Tell me that they have a kid and that kid has cancer and they can't afford like the medical bills, anything. But just, oh, we're going through rough times. Let's go buy meth. These characters suck. They're irredeemable. The violence isn't even that shocking. There's just, and maybe I'm desensitized, but like, this movie just doesn't work. And for a movie called Beaten to Death, the only thing that beat me to death was how long I had to wait between moments to like see some kind of bloodshed. There's just not enough beating to death in a movie called Beating to Death. So stay the fuck away from this one. Or if you're a masochist and you really would just want to see why I was like skipping on occasion 10 seconds. And I don't really do that, but this movie was so fucking dull that I was just like, I just want to get it over with. But I have to finish it, because once I start something, I got to finish it. So anyway, stay the fuck away from this, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Go watch Martyrs, go watch Hostel, go watch Wolf Creek, go watch anything, really, in the torture porn, if that's what you're into. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. I'm sorry that today's review isn't the best recommendation, or a recommendation at all, because this is not one. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys on Shudder, and as always, I will see you at the movies.